Hey now, everybody. Everybody can see us here. We're on air. Everybody hearing what we're saying?
What?
It's like a little delay, huh?
Yeah, a little bit.
So how's it going, everybody? Okay, so today, thank you, Tim. All right, somebody's got their mic on back there. Bear with us, Cabal. Somebody in our group here has the audio turned on somewhere. Steve, can you turn that? Somebody turn off your feed.
My YouTube feed?
Yes, go to YouTube and hit mute.
I just exited out of YouTube. I'm not even in it.
Yeah, I muted mine.
Okay. Well, I think no, it could be me.
Chaos.
Yeah, chaos, of course. It's always chaos around here.
It's YouTube's fault.
Person with the dog.
I don't have a dog.
I do, but I don't know where you're seeing a dog.
Who let the dogs out? Who?
All right, so I think we got everything going now. Up and running just fine. All right, Cabalists, what we're here to do today is just live chat with you guys. There's no real agenda, and I imagine that in the future we will have to create an agenda, as just talking about whatever the hell comes up probably won't work perfectly for every live chat. But for this one, it's all about you guys, whatever you guys want to talk about. Who's got a dog behind them?
Well, it ain't me.
Ain't me. I don't own a dog.
I have a cat and the door's shut.
How's it going, Chris? So what do you guys want to hear us talk about today? GW and WizKids getting together. All right, so let's talk about that. It's frightening to me that Games Workshop and WizKids made a deal to go into business together, because we went from Fantasy Flight to WizKids. WizKids wouldn't have been my first choice. And now listen, now that Zev has taken over WizKids, they're going in the right direction. We got the Attack of the Giants. What the hell's that called? Assault of the Giants game. Great game. Fun game. They did a good job with that one. So they're going in the right direction. So maybe we'll get some good games out of WizKids with the 40K license. I know they're going to do one of those dice building games, like Chris's box full of D&D dice. And I
should go grab that.
So yeah, we're going to get that. And we're going to get some other stuff. So I'm hoping that it'll be good.
I think the Space Marines are going to take their blasters and aim them a little high, because they're going to be a bit droopy.
I think so too, Steve.
Oh, top 50 games list. I got to get on that. I haven't done that in forever.
For sure. The last time I did it last year, I think at the beginning of 2006, I did it, and I did a top 100. And I could sit down and do that again, of course, because it definitely has changed. I know that there are a lot of games that have gone down on my list considerably over the years. And I think my way of making a list would be different now.
I don't think I was a Euro player when I made my list last time.
Really? It was that long ago?
Yeah, it was forever ago that I actually did it.
You got to get down to business, Chris.
I do. I don't know how to act right.
I don't remember the last time you did one either, Steve.
Me either.
Top 50
Thank
games.
you, Steve. So anyway, I'm going to get on doing my top 100. Now, I'll tell you what I won't do. I'm not going to do a top 100 video series, because they're the most I talk to a lot of different media creators, you know, Tom and Dan King and Joel and all these different people. And they say the most horrible thing you'll ever do in your life is making a top 100 video series. and they scared me off of the concept.
Yeah, I imagine you'd have to reshoot that a lot as your list changes, right?
Well, yeah, they have to do it once every year, you know.
It's a lot of maintenance.
For sure. But I do the top 100 on my geek list, and maybe we can, you know, like do something interesting with it. But I don't know. I wouldn't want to spend all my time doing a top 100 when I could just talk about cool games.
I hate
otherwise
my list because I rate those games on Board Game Geek, and my rating changes so much. It's really hard to keep track of.
Here's a good question I want to say. Radelic. He says, do you think Star Wars Assault, I guess that would be Star Wars, what's that game called? Imperial Assault.
Yes.
Do you think that would be a good game that'd be worth investing in as a beginning miniatures player? I don't think so. It's a good campaign game, but I don't think it's a good miniatures game. It does have the little skirmish miniatures thing in it, and that's cool. That's cool. But I'll tell you what you should wait for. They're doing Star Wars Legion real soon, which is actually a miniatures game. You know, Rebels versus Imperials, and it's going to be probably similar quality miniatures, maybe better quality miniatures. But if Rune Wars is any indication, the miniatures weren't that much better than their current board game miniatures. So I think wait for Star Wars Legion and see what you think of that before investing in Star Wars Imperial Assault. Because Star Wars Imperial Assault's pretty cool, you know, and it's a good, you know, dungeon crawly style campaign game. But if you're looking for a miniatures game, Legion might be the way to go. And of course, X-Wing.
I would say if you are like a fan of Mansions of Madness, but like Star Wars better, Imperial Assault would be a good alternative.
Right.
You know?
And I don't know. I think they announced that they're doing an Imperial Assault app like they did with Descent, which is similar to Mansions of Madness. And in that case, that's a pretty cool board game. I think we would probably get back to playing Imperial Assault if that happened.
I think you might be right. That'd be fun.
Sounds like more butthurt coming.
Mostly from Chris.
Lots of people are saying that video is not necessary for a top 100. And I appreciate that, everybody.
That's true.
All right. So what's a question here? Let's find one.
Okay.
Find one, Steve.
All right.
Let's talk about Blade Runner. You guys seen Blade Runner yet, Steve?
No.
You guys are crazy.
I've heard bad things about it.
Well, you're out your mind. Well, whoever told you that is out of their minds. Here's
every reviewer out there is basically saying it's bad.
Blade Runner 2049 is fantastic. It's probably the best movie that came out this year as far as filmmaking wise. Now, I had a lot of fun watching it. I thought I would probably watch it
now. Everybody's saying
I know no spoilers. I would probably watch it before I'd watch Blade Runner again. And that's solely because Blade Runner is like almost 3 hours long and it's really slow. But that's what the original Blade Runner was like, right? Blade Runner was gorgeous. The original Blade Runner was gorgeous visuals, fantastic acting, terrific plot, but it was really slow, you know? And even if you love the movie, you can't say that it wasn't not slow. This new movie is so very similar to the original movie. It's gorgeous, but it's slow as dirt. And you sit there for an hour, 45 minutes, 2 hours and 45 minutes. You're putting your time in. But if you love the old Blade Runner, you're definitely going to love this one because it's every bit as good, in my opinion, at least.
I'll get it when it's on iTunes.
You should watch it. Well, yeah, you don't like to go to the movie theaters because you hate people.
That's a good reason I don't go to, but I'll see it when it's for rent on Amazon.
It's great. It's great. If you like the original, you'll love it. Erwin wants to know about your weaponry, Steve.
You noticed that. Excellent. I'm also going to point out Chucky here. Keep an eye on it. So this is a variety of weapons I've collected from going to Ren fairs for a while. I have a big shield. I've got some Viking axes. I have a bunch of samurai swords. I have a two-handed sword back there. Like a flail thing, some tomahawks, because who knows? I'm ready. Anyway, everybody was asking last time why the curtain was up. I was hiding my arsenal because I didn't want to frighten you off.
People are scared.
Now you don't care.
Yeah, I don't care anymore.
You know what's funny about that? I noticed that some people are talking about the Chucky doll. What's great about the Chucky doll is you may think that this is Steve decor for simply Halloween.
Ooh.
Well, if you go to Steve's house and you walk up his front stoop and you look at his front door, it's a big door, and on either side of the door there are windows that go the full length of the door on either side. Chucky is always standing on the right-hand side at the bottom, staring out at the people walking up the steps.
That's how you scare away the robbers.
So you scare away everybody.
The robbers and the solicitors and the the people selling Bibles or whatever. They'll see that and they bail. That's the idea.
Steve's room is definitely just like the dungeon with the Tarantino in the Tarantino movie, Pulp Fiction. There's a closet to the left there that you can't see where the gimp is.
Yeah.
I like how someone asked if his wife puts up with that. It was probably her idea.
Yeah, my wife did all the decorating because I'm not good at spacing things out like that.
All right, let's go.
The picture in the middle is a pirate, and I got that at Key West, Florida, before hurricanes destroyed it. And it was from the Pirate Museum, and it's got weapons of the pirates listed. So we bought that, and we had it framed and hung that up.
Oh God, Rodney's here.
Rodney says, if I have a shed, we need to put Marty in the shed during the slumber party.
Whoa, you don't have a shed. We can put them under your deck, though.
Put them in the shed in the back.
Steve has a shed.
I have a shed.
Steve's house.
We can stack Marty in there with the other bodies.
So Rodney has a real question. He says, as an experienced dungeon master, do you still get nervous before running an RPG? If so, what causes it? Well, we kind of covered this a little bit in one of our Lords of the Dungeons episode very recently, where we talked about GM anxiety. And the answer is yes. Everybody gets nervous before the game because you put a lot of time into the game, right? You as a GM, you put together all of this, this material. You work and work and work throughout the week. It depends on what kind of GM you are. Sometimes you put a little bit of work and you just wing it, or sometimes you put a ton of work. If you're like Bender, you put a ton of work into it. He writes up sheets and documents of things that he's going to do. Sometimes he doesn't. A lot of times he does. And when you get in there, you never know what your players are going to do. And if you're not as good at winging it, it gets very nerve-wracking. So there's always some anxiety. You're always thinking about if the players are going to have fun or not. You're trying to make it as fun as possible. And that's where the anxiety comes. And another aspect of it is anxiety comes when your players give you anxiety. And I've had that in the past as well. Rules lawyers and people who are just critical of the game, and they're in your group, and you just get anxiety every week. I talked about it on the show that there was a period of time where my wife did not like that I ran D&D games. She would get upset with me because I had too much anxiety, and I would turn into a jerk those days because I was so freaked out about it. But this current group that I'm running now never wants to have anxiety because everybody is just easygoing, happy, and just has a good time. Yeah,
I remember sometimes you have a really good. Oh, I'm so confused by the YouTube feed versus you. Yeah, sometimes you have a really good idea and you're really psyched for an adventure, but it gets so crazy. You just get so anxious, hoping it goes well, and it stresses you out.
Chaz is here, and he's sad that he missed out on the Marty stuffed in a shed talk. We can go back to it if you want.
Well, there's Hot Rod shows up, and everybody starts talking to him and ignoring us.
That's exactly right.
What's going on?
We should just put Rodney in the live feed, and we don't have to worry about it.
Anyways.
Well, luckily, I noticed that my glasses had the glare of my monitors, so I took them off, and I can't read the chat. So,
thanks, Steve. That's very helpful of you.
Get in there. Maybe I'll just put my glasses back on. Next time, I'm getting my contacts. Yeah, all right,
guys. What questions do we want to talk about? Stop talking to Rodney.
Anyways.
Well, Tim says that Chris wants to talk about Warhammer.
No. All right. Well, yeah. Go ahead. I'll go use the bathroom.
Yep.
I'm
Be
gonna
gone for
get
20
Chris
minutes.
to play Shadespire because I think Chris would like Shadespire quite a bit if he got into it, and I think you would even enjoy collecting a warband or two because they're so easy. You get a warband, you get 3 to like 5 to 7 models, easy to paint, easy to assemble, and the game is great. And you're going to enjoy the deck building too.
Yeah, I will definitely give it a try. Definitely.
You'll like it. So I'd like to point out that right now it's just after midnight in Germany, and Rodney Smith is shirtless and possibly pantless in his hotel room.
Well, I guarantee you what he's doing. He's laying in bed with his phone over his head, glowing on his face, because we've roomed with Rodney quite often at conventions, and that's what we see as we're going to bed.
What have I taken today?
That's funny.
Well, wait till our next episode. Apparently, I took something else.
You took that beer he's drinking from me.
The Drunk
So-
Bennett asks about Kingdom Death. And yes, I did play some Kingdom Death, and I think it's really cool. It's a great game. I'm not sure that it's right for our group because obviously it's a very long campaign game. But as far as the production quality goes, the artwork and the game, the story, the concept of the game is so crazy and unique and interesting and different from anything else you ever play. It's definitely worth a try, but the price tag's kind of high.
Are you okay? Okay.
Chris is yelling, I guess, to his daughter.
I'm sure there's an emergency. Chris
Yeah,
is
right.
saving somebody right now.
It's a really tough one. When it comes to games that are that expensive, it's hard for me to try to recommend them, right? Because you got to know if you want to spend that kind of money, because worth of game is such a weird topic. Like, how can you my worth is way different than most people's worth, because I look at Kingdom Death Monster and the miniatures in the box, though cool sculpts, aren't very good quality when it comes to miniatures. I mean, well, I take that back. I couldn't edit myself in this podcast. They're okay, but they're not the top of the level, top of the line, right? Games Workshop is very expensive, but they're top of the line. Kingdom Death, they're just okay, and they're really hard to put together, at least in the first version. I have no idea what the 1.5 or what any of the, if it's changed in any way. But the original one, it was like super hard to put together, even for me as a guy who's done it in the past. Miniatures, have experience with it. But the game itself is very cool. And if you like campaign games and you're willing to spend that kind of money, it's definitely one to try out, because you won't find any other to like it.
Yeah,
All right,
guys,
so-
there's a gonk downstairs. I had to make sure everything was okay.
What is a gunk?
I guess we'll never know. So, here's one. John Detmer asks, did you guys back Feudum? And I know that Jamie and Chris did.
Both of us did, yeah.
That game looks fun, but I have no reason to back it because those two backed it.
There's no reason for
what?
Chris or I to back it because the other did, but we didn't. Oh, no, you backed out of it, didn't you, Chris?
Which one?
Feudum.
Feudum.
Oh, yeah, I did. I had to. I needed the money for Germany, and then I needed the Germany money for other stuff. So,
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, I did get a copy. I didn't get my copy of Feudum yet. But yes, it's definitely coming along, and it's I'm both excited for it and terrified by it, because I watched the how to play video and it made my brain melt and then ooze out my ear. I have no idea what was going on in that video. So we'll get it, we'll figure it out, and we'll play it, and we'll talk about it on the show. That's really all I know yet so far of Feudum.
So here's one. Bill asks if we have any additions to our Grail game list. Any recent additions?
You got any, Steve?
No, not really. I had StarCraft, and then Don let you borrow it 2 years ago, and we still haven't played it. So,
So we satisfied, we just didn't play it.
yeah, I guess my Grail is now playing StarCraft sometime. But Bill said that he recently got a Stunning Emerald First Edition, and that was his Grail game.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I had that for a while, and someone sent it to me, which was really nice. Boy, Grail games.
It's getting Grail games are getting pretty hard now at this point.
Yeah, I can't think of one right now.
Because my biggest Grail game was Blood Bowl. And it wasn't. I already had a copy of Blood Bowl. I had a copy of Blood Bowl 3rd edition, I think. But you know, the miniatures are crappy, and it's not like the cool miniatures that you get with, you know, all the extra miniature stuff. It just came with the little plastic guys that were kind of junky looking, and that's all I had. The board was cool, but that's, you know, I wanted like a real, honest to goodness, cool version of Blood Bowl, and it came along. So I got that. That was a Grail game, and of course, Glory to Rome was, but I've had that for ages now. But Grail games at this point are getting tough because we sort of collected them all at this point. I'm sure there will be a few that come up in the future when we find out about them. But yeah.
All right, great. Well, here's a good one. Let's see. Ryan Bull keeps asking what we think of Games Workshop and WizKids bringing back Fury of Dracula.
I'm fine with it.
I'm nervous about that. I mean, the question is, what edition are they bringing back?
See, yeah, that's weird because you don't know exactly what they're going to do. Are they going to make a new edition themselves, or do they have the rights to make the exact same one that just was out, you know, last year or whatever? The one that was out last year is totally cool. Like I don't think there needs to be another edition at this point. I haven't found anything weird about it. We played it maybe, you know, 6 or 8 times now, and we've never found anything that we thought was weird about it. So I hope they don't change it. They might change the quality of it because maybe they don't have the art assets anymore.
That could be.
But who knows at this point?
Honestly,
I'm happy that people will be able to get it because it's such a cool game.
I don't know how you could beat 3rd edition. That's like the perfect Fury of Dracula.
I think it'll be harder to kill Dracula in the new WizKids edition because the stakes will be droopy. Are the droopy jokes getting old? Because I'm having a lot of fun with them. I can do it all day long.
Yeah, well, you can keep it up if you wish, Steve.
But speaking of droopy things, I see that Tony Topper is in the chat.
What?
He is. Chris called him out for sleeping, and he said, that's a lie.
Tony, are you actually home from work? Or are you just he's at eBay right now working, and you're just goofing around, aren't you? In the chat.
Like.
Hey, wait. Last live chat we had, he was at eBay, and he streamed.
Well, yeah, but that was like at 10 o'clock at night. He got off work and stayed at his office to do it.
Whatever.
We can't ask him to like take an hour out of his work day.
Tony's not acting right.
He's working in quotation marks.
I'm sure he has vacation.
Favorite Civ game. Okay, this is one that Rick just asked us. Favorite Civ game. Steve, tell me your favorite Civ game.
Jeez. Man, I think I'm going to pick Twilight Imperium 4, even though I haven't played it yet. That's a Civ game, right? It's 4X. You got your expand, your exterminate, explore. And what I like about that is you have this whole universe, well, I guess galaxy. You have this whole galaxy laid out in front of you to conquer, and it's random. Every time you play, there's different planets out and stuff. It's awesome. And the 4th edition has so many races in it.
That's
I can only imagine. It is bananas. Unfortunately, it takes about a half a day to play the thing. So,
well, I will say, Steve, that the last time we played Twilight Imperium 3rd edition, which I think was probably like 7 years ago, we played it in 3 hours with 5 players. And we were all pretty close to winning. So it was one of those things where like Civilization, my favorite Civilization game is Sid Meier's Civilization, the older version that what's his name there, Fantasy Flight put out. That's my favorite. And I think Twilight Imperium is similar in a sense that if you narrow focus everything you're doing on winning, on every last thing you have to do to win, the game goes much faster. Because Civilization, the board game, you could do like a million things because they're fun, because you want to build this neat civilization with all these buildings and stuff, but you can narrow focus one of those strategic paths and the game gets snappy. You know, if somebody's going culture, somebody's going, you know, war, whatever, you know, you could get that game done in much faster time than Tony always talks about, where he's up until like 4 a.m. playing the game. But yeah, once you start to get good at it, it starts to get faster. And I think Twilight Imperium would be similar.
I would hope so. Chris, do you have a favorite?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I have two, and it's basically based on theme. Space-wise, Eclipse is by far my favorite. I love that game. No matter what Tony says, like the whole missile thing is resolved with the expansions. I just have a blast playing that game. But for, I guess, present day / history, it would be Archipelago. That one is just so much fun. I love playing that. Even though, like, sometimes we have, like, games that are a wash.
It's wonky.
It's wonky.
Yeah.
But I still have fun playing it.
All right. Well, I have another great question. Victor Puente from WKYT asks, have you played Import Export, Jamie? It's supposed to be in the family of Glory to Rome.
No, I have not. And I saw that when it was on Kickstarter, and it's kind of weird. I've kind of gotten tired of trying games that are like Glory to Rome, because every time I do, I don't really like them. Like that Montanai, I got that one, and I tried, of course, Uchronia, which is by Carl Chuddik. It's basically like Glory to Rome without being Glory to Rome, and it's not very good. And there was a different one that I got that everybody was going bananas about. I just got kind of tired of it. So Import Export, I would certainly be happy to try it. But no, I have not tried it yet.
All right. So
I'm going to talk about Erwin here. He asks if there's any updates on the ARG. Well, technically, no. It's coming along, and it will happen when it happens. See, that's the thing. The thing with that is, and I want to be completely open about it, is alternate reality games are very difficult, very, very difficult to complete. Well, to actually create them. And we have lots of progress, and everybody's doing things. And basically what I want to say is it'll come when it happens, because I don't want to put it out rushed and make it boring and crappy. I want to make it good. So as soon as the plan is that it'll probably come close to by the end of the year at some point, if everything kind of comes together well. We're working super hard on it. You know, the whole gang is working on it.
That's a true story.
That's right, Tim. You gotta take your time, do it right.
That's what we're doing, because we were frantically working on it for a while there. We were like, oh my god, we got to get it done by like November. Oh my god. And then one day we were just like, you know what, why like, let's just do it right and make everyone like it instead of do it poorly and no one will like it. So we're gonna do our best to make it the best it can possibly be, and for sure it will happen.
Well, maybe the ARG is already over and none of you found it.
Well, that would be a big fail there, Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or maybe it started and you, as in like, I'm talking to all of you, didn't find it yet. Who knows?
that could be.
Here's a great question. I love talking about this. Star Wars Discovery. And you two fools haven't started watching it, have you?
No.
Star Wars Discovery is amazing. I love it. I love it because it's going in a really cool direction. Here's a, you know, I've been watching YouTube videos and stuff like that on people's theories about it. And I think that it's going in a super cool direction. Now, I'm just speculating because, and other people are speculating about this stuff. What's his now? Did I say Star Wars Discovery?
Yeah.
You
Oops.
did, but
I meant Star Trek
I
Discovery.
knew what you meant.
Sorry about that, fellas. Anyhow, I think it's great. I think it's going well, and I think it gets better each time, and it's going in some cool directions. And one of my theories is I found on YouTube somewhere. It's not my theory; it's somebody else's theory. But I'm seeing what this guy's seeing. It might be about the Section 31. Which if you remember from Deep Space Nine, there was a Section 31 that was like this covert Federation organization that did almost evil things. They worked outside of the laws of the Federation. And if you look at a lot of the different clues from the show, it looks like it's going in that way. Like Captain Lorca is going to be like one of the founding members of that Section 31. And I think that would be a fantastic way to take the show. And yes, I ignore the Klingon design. I really don't like that. But hey, listen, I'll get used to it.
The Section 31 sounds like it's the Federation version of the Cardassian Obsidian Order.
You're right. Yeah. Drinking full froth? No. I think all the full froth is gone at this point. Actually, what I am drinking is a gift from my good friend Stephen Bonacore, the Heady Topper. So what we got here, Steve? You got a question on here you can find? Any plans to get any of the Lords of the Dungeon hosts on the main show again? Sure. We were actually talking about that. We think it's a fun thing to do when because you know, with 9 of us on the show now, it's great that we can all like just kind of come in and out. Yeah, I don't know, where Steve and Chris both left. They're both empty. Anyway, so I'll keep it going. Yeah, it's a great thing because there's 9 of us now, right? And we're all really close friends. I mean, we talked about how we started the show, The Secret Cabal, and it was 4 of us, and Steve joined halfway through. The other guys have always been our friends as well. And with the exception of Bender, we met him about 5 years. I met him like 10 years ago. He was at a party and I met him there, and that was it. And then 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, they moved here, and he just like fit like a glove with our group. Jess, we knew since high school, many of us. And so this is the core group, right? When we first started the Secret Cabal back 6 years ago, we asked Jesco and AC if they wanted to do the show. Both of them didn't respond to the email, so it went on without them. But yeah, and I'm so happy that those guys are so excited to be part of it all now, because it's so much fun to go to conventions with those guys too and do the show with those guys and get them involved. And actually AC was going to be in this live chat tonight, but he had to work late. So it's cool that we have 9 people on the show now, so that, you know, express episodes, we can have tons of different people on the express episodes as anytime we want. If like Steve can't do it or Chris can't do it, we can bring in AC or Jesco or Jess or Bender or whoever, and it'll be great. So I'm just happy that we expanded the Secret Cabal family a little more. So yes, hopefully they'll be on again soon.
All right, so I see some Rad Elk is asking, when will Will Wheaton be a guest star on the Cabal?
I doubt ever.
Probably not, yes. All right. Jamie, is there going to be an unofficial gathering at PAX this year? PAX Unplugged?
No. No, and the reason is I want to experience it first. Now, PAX would be a perfect place for a Cabal meetup because it's 2 hours away from us. You know, and that's terrific. And it would be so easy for us to be able to manage getting a meetup together. You know, Chris can attest that getting meetups done in places 6 hours away is a complete nightmare.
Oh yeah, flying out to Indianapolis to scout venues sucks a lot.
Yeah, and then even though you fly out there once, you still got to be back and forth with the venue constantly. You never know what it's going to be like, and it always comes out. And there's always things that we can't figure for. Like at the meetup this year at Gen Con, I thought it was a fantastic meetup. It was one of our best we ever had, but there were bad things about it too. Of course, the bathrooms. But the other thing was everybody lined up around the building, and we didn't know because we were doing dinner beforehand. And when we come out, it was like that. And that's not what we wanted it to be. So, I mean, at least we can plan for it later. But a place like Philadelphia is great because I can bop out there in an hour and 45 minutes, check out a place, hang out. If I really need to go out there and make sure things are going fine, I can get out there in an afternoon and be back before dinner. So it's a perfect place to have a meetup.
Yeah,
but I don't want to do it until we experience what PAX is like. Is PAX really going to be conducive for having a big meetup like that? Is the city actually, is it going to be good to do it there? So we're going out there just to experience it and see what it's like, and then maybe next year we'll do a meetup.
Yeah, I think the one thing we're learning with meetups is every year we have issues, we fix them, and then other things come up, and so every year it seems to be a learning experience. And like I keep telling people, a lot of times venues hear gaming podcasts and they don't expect the crowds that we end up getting, no matter how much I tell them. So it's always a little crazy, but at least in indie Tow Yard, they now know. and honestly, Tow Yard's been great.
Yeah, they kind of knew what to expect. They were really cool about it, but it was I think a little bit bigger than they expected. We told them like 750 to 800 people. It was like 1,200 people, so it was still even bigger than they expected.
Yeah, it was crazy.
All right, Jamie, are we ever going to get swag bags at Origins?
Potentially, I could do that. The thing with all right, so since we're talking about conventions and meetups, Origins is the biggest nightmare of all of these meetups because there's no good venue that we've currently found to house these things.
I thought you were going to say because that's the one I went to.
No, well, and the Gordon Biersch they just don't work with us. They don't care. You know, we work with them 6 months in advance, like we did with the Tow Yard. And 2 weeks prior, I called them up and wanted to talk to them about some things. We've been emailing them, but we hadn't talked to them in a few months. About 2 weeks prior, I called them, and they had no idea we were coming because they just don't care. It's a mess. Origins is just a mess. And I really want to find a better venue, but I don't really even think that there is much of a better venue that will have us. So this is why it's difficult. Do I want to do raffles there? Do I want to do swag bags there and all other stuff when it's not even easy and conducive to do it? It's just difficult. So swag bags are much easier than the raffle. The raffle's a giant mess.
Yeah, it is. You can't hear.
Yeah, you can't. Nobody can hear anything. It's
people everywhere.
It's hard.
It's a logistical nightmare.
It is.
That's why we need to move to that football stadium or wherever they have there.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Isn't that's Gen Con, isn't it, Steve?
They have some kind of stadium in Columbus.
Yeah, maybe. They probably do somewhere.
I'm not that into sports, so I'm not sure what it is. But they have one.
You could get that horrendous Hofbrauhaus that played the terrible like German wedding music.
You dissing polka?
Bill, you're asking what microphone do I use in the podcast? I'm using this exact microphone. It is the Rode Procaster. It's terrific. Brian uses the Rode Podcaster, which is the exact same mic, only USB. This one is XLR. It's a great mic. It's fantastic. Love it. And we all use it. Everybody except Tony, I think. I don't think Tony got a new one. I don't remember. But yeah, everybody. We got 5 of them here for all the Lords of the Dungeon. Steve and Chris, and Brian has one as well. Where's Tony? Like I say, Tony is at work right now. He lives in California. 6 o'clock's the middle of the day for him. Can't do it. The reason we did it at 6 o'clock this time is because last time we did it at 10 o'clock, people in England and Europe were staying awake till like 3 a.m. And, you know, it wasn't good. So we did it earlier in the night, sacrificed some Tony to get in some of the European people in England. Steve, the stadium is called the Horseshoe. Thank you, Michael. Stetzer says he's an audio fanatic and he appreciates our quality. I appreciate you saying that. That's something that's hugely important to me. If we're going to do a podcast, we got to do it right. That's right. Tony uses the Rode NT1A. That's the ones we used to use. They're condenser mics. These are dynamic mics. And I needed dynamic mics because of the fact that I had 5 people in the room for Lords of the Dungeon. So everybody was just bleeding into each other's mics. It was horrible. These are much better for having a lot of people in the room. I think I lost both Steve and Chris again. I think Chris and Steve are having children problems. That's why they keep blasting off. Meanest Euro with a lot of player interaction. Well, see, I love questions like that, but I always have to do a lot of thought before getting to them. So I think that's a great question that I'm going to copy and paste into a short topic extravaganza document. So Matthew, I will put that on our list for later. All right, guys, I don't have any help now. So you got some questions here? Chris is bringing in groceries. He did say that? You got to be kidding me. He's bringing in groceries during a live chat. No, Tim, they're not having children. They have them. I don't have any children, so I can just stay down here all night if I want. Actually, no, my wife's coming home soon. I got to get some dinner with her.
All
There's
right.
Steve.
Oh, yeah, I'm here. I got cat problems. So, Jamie, what tips do you have for painting minis?
Well, tips are, I mean, we just talked about it on the show. Something that'll change your life is getting a wet palette. If you don't know what a wet palette is, go look at Uncle Adam, Tabletop Minions. He will show you how to do it. There's a video on there. Do that. It's fantastic. Get good brushes. Take care of your brushes. Always prime your miniatures. Find a good primer that isn't garbage. Army Painter's good, except for white. I don't ever prime in white, so I just don't use it. Make sure that you always, seal your models at the end with a good matte finish. Take your time. Don't worry about it. I always say this about painting miniatures. Painting miniatures is not a talent. It's a skill, and you learn it by watching videos and by doing it. Get yourself some Reaper Bones miniatures. They're like $2 a piece at the comic store, or you get them on Amazon or whatever. Get those, prime them, paint them. If you don't like them, throw them in the garbage. Get another one. Try again. Keep doing it until you get something that you think looks all right. And then you can move on to your Warhammer or your board game miniatures or whatever in case you think you're going to ruin them, And washes are a fantastic thing. So if you get a nice flesh tone wash and a nice black wash, Noon oil and that kind of stuff, that'll take your painting up a notch too. And when you first start off painting, dry brushing, you're going to think it's the greatest thing in the world. It is kind of, until you stop using dry brushing and realize that it doesn't make your miniatures look that great. So that's the quick rundown. But my biggest thing is go to YouTube, find guys that do find guys on YouTube that are fantastic painters and watch their videos, and they'll teach you exactly how to do it easily. It's not as hard as you think.
And Jamie, in 10 seconds, explain what dry brushing actually is.
You take a brush, you don't make it wet, you put it in your paint, you wipe it real fast across the paper towel. You get all the paint off of it. And then you whap across the miniature real fast like that. And just a little bit of paint comes off on the raised the raised areas of the miniature. So it's good for like beards and fur and stuff like that, and metal sometimes if you want to make it look all scuffed up and stuff. That's a technique that's good. Sarastro's painting is the best. Lee, you are correct. That is the one to go find. Love that guy. And he actually focuses more on board game miniatures than he does miniatures. So for board gamers, like most of us are, he's the best to go to. He's got Blood Rage, Imperial Assault, all sorts of stuff.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie. So I've got two questions I'm going to combine into one. The first one is, do you have any surprise hits, like any games that surprise you with how good they are this year? Which my answer is Folklore: The Affliction.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that was going to be that good.
I
mean, I thought it was going to be cool, but I was surprised at how much I actually loved it, and I'm going to play it some more.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Glad you liked it, Steve.
I was surprised by Yokohama. I thought it would be like, meh. But I really dug that one.
You didn't think it was going to be meh. You kept saying how you want to play it.
I did. I wanted to play it because I backed it and I got it. I wanted to get to the table, but I didn't think it would get me as much as it did.
2 of them for me. One of them was technically out in December of last year. But the other one, and Chris, we just talked about it in the episode we recorded this weekend for the next coming up. Number 1, New Angeles. That was the one that was out last year in December. I didn't know I would love this game as much as I do. It's fantastic. I just love the way this game plays. It's just a terrific semi-co-op game that somebody wins at the end, and multiple people could win. One person could actually lose, and I think that's funny. Anyway, and the other one is Richard the Lionheart. I thought it looked cool, but when I read the rules, I was like, when we played it, man, I love that game. It's so cool. It's just well done. And they feel similar because of the whole teams and then someone wins thing.
So, Jamie, in the upcoming audio drama that we are releasing, have you typecast Marty as the old man?
He already is. He is the oldest character of the cast. He was happy to get that part, though. He liked what he got. Yes, so the new audio drama coming out this next week is crazy. I just listened. I got half of it finished already. Completely edited half of it, exactly half. It's going to be great. You know, Patrick and Rob and Christina from Blue Peg Pink Peg are in it. Bender and Jess from Lords of the Dungeon are in it. Steve is in it. Chris is going to be in it if he ever gets around here to record a part. Rodney, Marty, Tony McCree, Chaz Marler, Matt Evans, Joel Eddy, all of them are going to be in it. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Herbert West, Reanimator.
Yeah, it's going to be excellent. If Chris can't make it, I'll do him as a different voice.
Okay.
All right, guys. I got to scoot and make dinner. I'm sorry.
Right. See you later, Chris.
It's called takeout, Chris.
Anybody have a question for Steve? Because I've asked a lot. I've been answering a lot of questions here.
While they're asking me questions, Jamie, with the announcement that Jeremy is leaving Blue Peg Pink Peg, is anyone leaving the Secret Cabal?
No one's leaving the Secret Cabal. Sure. Everyone seems to be totally happy at this point. We had no one's ever even brought the concept up of anyone leaving.
All right. Well, Tim Panagrot offered to order Chris a pizza, but he's gone. So, Tim, you can get me one instead. All right. Have we tried Flamme Rouge yet? Says Father Chad. Yes, we did. And you can check it out at the Secret Cabal Stev or whatever my name is, because I put pictures up when we were playing it. I have a very popular Twitter account you may have never heard of. But, yeah, we enjoyed Flamme Rouge. I think we talked about it on the show also. It is a very cool, it's my favorite bicycle racing game.
You know, Steve, you know when we talked about Flamme Rouge and Downforce at the same time?
Oh, no. Was that 141?
That was 141.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
We lost the Flamme Rouge discussion. Which one did you like better, Steve? Downforce or Flamme Rouge?
I liked Downforce better because it had randomness in it. Flamme Rouge is... The only randomness in Flamme Rouge is if you can get at the back of the pack and you get extra spaces, extra moves you can do. Because otherwise, everybody's on the exact same playing field. You have the same number of cards, the same number of moves. So whoever can get at the back and get a boost or whatever to move you up forward, any extra spaces you can move for free will put you immediately ahead of everybody else in the long run. And Downforce had cool, like everybody has their own power. And I don't know, there's cards you play that are random. It's just, I like that better.
Steve, what's your favorite class in an RPG?
D&D 2nd edition, it was the Assassin class. That was in the Assassin handbook that came out. Assassin and Thieves, I think it was. Regular D&D, I like alternating between Barbarian's always fun. I like being a straight fighter sometimes. And sometimes I like being a sorcerer, but when I do that, I'm a pretty much damage dealing. I do a lot of magic missiles or fireballs or whatever. Sometimes I kill my own teammates.
You're right, Tim. 141 did have everything. It had a very in-depth discussion about Godzilla.
Yeah, you're right.
It really upset me when I deleted episode 141. The thing that upset me the most was that I lost Steve and I discussing Godzilla, and Chris and Tony and Brian were yelling at us the entire time to stop.
Right.
And Steve and I continued despite being yelled at because we both love Godzilla. We had plenty to say about it.
We did. All the villains, like Gigan, Monster X. It's great. Okay, keep them coming, Jamie.
All right. Well, everybody's talking about 141, and
somebody said I should move the doll closer to the camera. Hang on.
So, well, Steve can't hear me ask this question. Steve.
Yes.
Lee asks, how do you balance kids and gaming? He's chasing his one-year-old around the house right now.
Yeah, balancing kids and games is very hard because the games are all rectangular and my kids are weird shapes. But seriously, though, a lot of times the games we play are adult-oriented, and I'll need to get a babysitter or something if I'm going to Jamie's house. I play some games with the kids. Like I had a Rhino Hero we played, and I had this unicorn game that Haba made. Haba has really good kids games, by the way. And they got, oh god, what was that? It was like Princess Monopoly that I played with them, which is like Disney characters. You're rolling around the map, getting points. That was my favorite, but it's pretty good. Is this thing still on?
Oh, what do you mean? Is it still on?
Oh, my Google Hangout screen blacked out. But I guess.
Steve, how have your tastes in gaming changed over the last few years as a result of your association with the Secret Cabal?
That's a good question. I don't know that it really has. I still like the same kind of games I always did.
I can attest to that.
I will say that due to the Secret Cabal, I've played many more games than I would normally seek out and play. Because some of them, frankly, I don't find that interesting, but I can still appreciate them for having decent mechanics and, you know, being a good game, even though the theme or the play style doesn't really make me want more. So, Dakota Zoot asked what my favorite grand strategy game is.
What would you say a grand strategy game is exactly? Grand strategy, like you mean like an epic big? Is that what he's asking?
Yeah, when I hear grand strategy, I'm thinking like a big strategy game. You know, I don't know. I think as far as strategy goes, one of my big favorites is why I like this game so much is Star Wars Rebellion. And I say that because you have so many strategies involved. You have finding or hiding your base, the rebel base. You have managing your the like special characters you get and picking ones because there's always a choice. You have that strategy. How will that impact the people you're fighting? Who's the best fit for that? Or if they have a lot of one specific thing like attack, you want something on your side to counter that if you're lacking in that area. There's a lot of thought that goes into that game, especially just shutting down the enemy production. You have producing your own units, winning space combat, winning ground combat, thwarting the missions, figuring out where they are or hiding from them. I mean, the whole game, everything you do is, I've said this before, it's a cat and mouse game, and it requires, to do it well, in my opinion, it requires a lot of thought and planning. And since it's on a galactic scale, I'd say that is a great strategy game.
Cool.
And no, I have not played the expansion yet. Jamie, did you get that yet?
No, I didn't. It's in my Amazon cart.
Okay.
I just haven't paid for it yet because I bought Tyrants of the Underdark instead.
Ah, well, as soon as we get that, I will play it.
As we have one here. This is an awesome question. DJ Hopscotch asks, what's the longest game length you will tolerate? And I have a definitive answer, and it is there is no limit to what I will tolerate. I love playing long games. I like playing a game that's done in an hour. I like playing a game that will last 8 hours. Jesco and Aaron and I, about, I don't know, back around, I don't know, earlier in the year, we played Star Trek Ascendancy. And we played it on an 8x4 table, and we didn't have any boundaries as to where the universe could go. And we played for 8 straight hours. We stopped for lunch. We hung out. We were just bullshitting, having a good time. We stopped for dinner. We were bullshitting, having a good time, drinking beers, eating snacks, all day, sitting at the table, loving the game from beginning to end. And it was almost like the time went by like that. Didn't even notice that the time passed. So I don't care. If it's a great game, I will sit and play it for 10 hours and be delighted by it. I mean, maybe that also comes from my Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, we start Dungeons and Dragons at noon. And we end around 6 o'clock. So we have 6-hour game sessions every other week playing one single game. So I guess that kind of bleeds over into our board games too. Of course, we can't do that very much because when we play on Wednesday nights, the night that Steve can actually get out and play, we start at 6 after everybody gets off of work, and Steve's got to go by 9 o'clock because he's got to get home, go to bed because he's got to get up at like 5 a.m. to go to work. So we have to pick, games that will fit into a 3-hour period for him and I to play.
But, something like that, like a Twilight Imperium or a longer game is an event that you set a calendar event. You send the invites out, and everybody shows up on a Saturday or whatever. With time to burn, and then you do that kind of thing. But it's not one you just whip out randomly in the middle of the night, middle of the evening or whatever, and say, let's play this. So yeah, game length doesn't bother me too much as long as I can accommodate it. Like I can't randomly do a really long game, but I can if I plan for it.
Phil, that's exactly, he says he lost 3 hours being so immersed in folklore. Time went by like a flash. Exactly the way I feel about folklore. It's just, you just keep playing, and it's like the last time we played, I played with Steve on Wednesday, and I played with Chris and Jesco and his fiance Stacy on Saturday. We played the exact same mission. Steve and I, in an hour and 45 minutes, we're close to the end at the mission. The same game, 4 hours for Chris and Jesco and Stacy and I, because we just kept going around the map. We didn't want to go off road. We're going all different places and doing different things. So it was so cool how it just changed drastically based on how we played. And I didn't even notice the time slipping past when I was playing for 4 hours in folklore. I just love that stuff.
All right, Jamie, here's the big one.
Go.
What are you looking forward to more, Stranger Things or The Punisher?
That is a big, big question.
I'm going to go with Stranger Things because it looks like Cthulhu stuff's going on, and I'm excited about that.
That's such a hard question.
I'm going to binge watch both of them the day they come out. So
that's exactly right. I can't answer the question because basically I'm just going to sit all night long on Friday night watching the whole thing until it's finished. Probably Stranger Things because I don't know. Probably Stranger Things, but The Punisher is right up there. I mean, at this point, I think the only reason Stranger Things might beat it out is because the Defenders were so bad. The Defenders and what's his face, the Immortal Iron Fist, were so bad that my Netflix Marvel interest has gone down slightly. But there's still the Punisher, and there's still Jessica Jones, and there's still the Daredevil. Those three I know are going to be fantastic every time. Well, I
So-
finished the Defenders because I had to. I just had to see what happened, and to my surprise, nothing happened.
I enjoyed the Defenders. I watched the whole thing. It didn't really bother me, but afterwards I thought, where were all the ninjas? Maybe Daredevil killed them all.
That's right.
I don't know. There weren't a whole lot of ninjas. It was awesome that they brought in these different factions, like the that guy from Africa who had all the machine gun dudes with him in the
Sure,
band.
okay.
Yeah, I was looking forward to that, but he got wiped out right away. So
Yeah,
no
right.
more of that.
He was like the coolest bad guy, and he got killed right away. I don't even
Sigourney
know
Weaver.
who any of these villains were. Now, the old lady from the Daredevil was cool, and she's always cool. But I mean, Sigourney Weaver is like, you know,
The ninja guy who was hunting the wolf or whatever, or the bear, or whatever it was. He was hunting. You remember what I'm talking about?
nah. From which one?
The Hand. One of the guys was the like ninja boss.
In the Defenders. Oh yeah, okay, I get you. Yeah.
He taught the one guy that Daredevil fought with who almost killed him. That's all I know about him.
Yeah, well.
Like you said, there's not a whole lot of setup there. Sigourney Weaver, I really want to see her fighting because she was built up to be like some kind of badass and didn't really pan out.
That should just, yeah.
So it was a little disappointing.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna have to wrap this up pretty soon here.
Yes.
Let's take a couple more questions and then we'll scoot until the next time. You got anything for us, fellas? I have watched the Ash versus the Evil Dead. Loved the first season. Started watching the second season and then kind of fell off for me. It wasn't that the show got worse. It was that I don't know, maybe I had too much of it. I don't know. When Steve and I were growing up, we loved Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2. Like, Steve and I are huge horror fans, and we loved these movies. I can't tell you how many times I tried to pirate the Army of Darkness from the video den down the street, the VHS, and it would always come out all red and grainy.
Yeah.
Love it. But I think Ash versus Evil Dead, I think it might be just like too much, like too much of it all at once, right? I don't know. Maybe I have to get back to it, watch it again, because I did love it, because I love Ash, and I do like the extra characters they got in there.
I watched it every week, and I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, I was unhappy, though, that at the end they did this like time travel thing, because that didn't sit well with me. But up until that point, enjoyed it.
Somebody's saying something about Blood Bowl. That I can answer. What Blood Bowl teams are you looking forward to be released? They didn't do vampire counts yet, did they? I would love vampire counts. I've collected them all thus far. Well, I don't know what's out right now.
Yeah, it's my trouble. I'm trying to look that up. And I know what teams I like, but I don't know if they're out yet or not.
Yeah, because I know I got I did the last one that they released that I didn't buy was the Goblins, and I'm gonna buy them because I'm an idiot and I have to buy everything. But I didn't buy them yet because I didn't even open up my my Skaven team yet. But I do want to collect them all because I'm a lunatic. Yeah, Vampire Counts is the one I'm looking forward to most, I think. Maybe the Vikings too. I love the Vikings. The Norsemen.
Do they have a Slanesh team yet?
I don't think they put one out yet.
Well, if they do one of them, I want that
one. Is the Blood Bowl video game any good? Absolutely. Blood Bowl 2 is great. Well, Blood Bowl 1 was great too. That's actually how I got into Blood Bowl. I didn't have the board game before I got the video game. D6 Generation kept talking about how much they like Blood Bowl. Back ages ago, before we were doing a podcast, I listened to them, and they were talking about Blood Bowl. So I got the video game. Steve and I would play the video game a lot, and then that's when it became one of my Grail games to get. I got the older version, and now finally there's a new version out we forgot. So the new version, Blood Bowl 2, is terrific. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, Blood Bowl video games are great, and it's one of the only games that Jamie usually beats me every time we play.
Rodney always beats me, apparently.
Yeah.
Do I like the Blood Bowl Blood Bowl more for the game or the miniatures? Actually, the game. The miniatures are cool, but I don't care about football miniatures. Like I don't get all fired up about football miniatures because I'm not a football fan myself. Baseball is the only sport that I actually do like, but I don't even follow it because I can't add another hobby back to my list of hobbies. When I was a kid, I loved baseball, collect baseball cards, played baseball, watched it on TV, and I had to cut it because just there's so many more things to do. And right now I couldn't even get into a sport if I wanted to. But football was never my thing. So football didn't excite me. So getting a football miniature does not excite me. The gameplay of Blood Bowl I actually really enjoy. I think it's definitely dated. But that's kind of part of its charm, that it's a different style of gameplay than you would see coming out today, you know? So I'm good with it. I think the gameplay's where I'm at.
So, Jamie, what is the game you just backed the other day?
Back 2 of them recently. Dinogenics, the Jurassic Park Euro game.
This is Detective City of Angels.
Detective City of Angels. Yes, I backed that as well.
So this question's for you. Seventh Continent you were not interested in because you said it wasn't going to go retail, but neither is Detective City of Angels.
No, that's not exactly right. I said that when I originally backed out of Seventh Continent, I didn't think I would get enough play out of it. So I backed out of it and backed into Folklore. And I just said, okay, well, I'll just get Seventh Continent when it goes to retail. And then it didn't come to retail, so I was all butthurt. That's all. It's not like I'm not mad at Seventh Continent for not going retail. I'm just like, bleh. Like I was gonna get it at retail. Now I can't. And I don't feel like, I don't know. I want to play it now, not in a year from now. I don't know. There's no logic to it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But so, Detective City of Thieves or City of Detectives or whatever it is.
City of Angels.
City of Angels. I'm really into that theme. And I really think that it is a great game that I will get played a lot. Steve will love it, like beyond love this game because it's all deduction and stuff. And it's just a cool game. So I'm happy with it.
So Halloween's coming up. Jamie, do you have any lesser known horror movie suggestions?
Well, it depends on what kind of horror movies you like. Lesser known.
See, I don't know.
I would say Demons, which is, I think it's Mario Bava. It's an Italian horror movie from the 70s, which is amazing. Everybody gets stuck in a movie theater, and some dumb idiot puts on this cursed mask and hurts her and gets stabbed with it, and she turns into a demon. And then it's like the demons are running around biting people, and everybody's turning into demons. And there's a motorcycle at one point, and a helicopter, I think, at one point. It's ridiculous inside the movie theater. It's terrific.
I'm gonna say From Beyond, and this is a Cthulhu game, not game. Good Lord, this is a Cthulhu / Lovecraft mythos movie. It came out in 1986, and it's about this obsessive scientist who discovers a way to access a parallel universe by using the brain's pineal gland. It's exciting. It's really good, though. Jamie, you like that one?
Yeah.
From Beyond?
No, From Beyond is fantastic.
Yes.
From Beyond. Yeah, that's what's his name? Jeffrey Combs, right? Yeah.
Is he in that? I don't even remember. I think it's him.
Mm-hmm. Another one that's great is Spider Baby. Spider Baby is a terrific old-time horror movie from, I think, the 70s. But it's in 60s or 70s. It's black and white. It's a bizarre movie. I highly recommend checking that one out. It's funny and an awesome horror movie at the same time. Dead Alive, of course. Everybody loves Dead Alive.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Night of the Creeps, fantastic horror movie. That's like a newer movie that's made like an old time 1950s movie. In 1940s and 50s, horror and sci-fi, my favorite. So Night of the Creeps, perfect because it's like trying to be campy. Love it.
Some other good Lovecraft themed movies I like are Dagon. That's from 2001. and She Creature. I don't know if this is necessarily Lovecraft, but it's about an evil mermaid, and it's just really cool.
Jamie's favorite horror movie is The Thing, the John Carpenter version. Even though the 1950s version of The Thing is also amazing and fantastic, and I actually like the sequel that was made, I don't know, like 5 years ago or something. The Thing is my favorite of all time. And Alien is also one of my favorites of all time, of course. Great haunted house movie. Haunted spaceship movie.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, The Thing is awesome. There's so many good John Carpenter movies. It's hard. I mean, man, everything that guy does is great. Halloween,
know, right?
oddly enough, is his most favorite, but that's one of my least favorites.
Which one?
Halloween.
Yeah.
Because it's just a slasher movie. But he has so many other that are like cooler. I mean, Halloween's good, but he has
I
so
even
many
like Ghosts of Mars
movies.
with Ice Cube. Ice
Yes,
Cube?
that is.
Ice Cube.
That's Ice Cube.
It's a ridiculous movie, but it's awesome.
That is a good one. Yeah, They Live. That's a great one. What's your favorite?
Fantastic.
Favorite Cronenberg movie?
Oh, David Cronenberg. I don't remember. What does he do?
He did The Fly.
The Fly was awesome.
Anders. Yeah. The Fly creeped me out.
Yeah, it makes you want to throw up.
I saw it when I was a kid, and that was like, ugh. I had to run out of the room when he turned into a fly, and I never came back. The Dead Zone is a great one.
Oh, for sure. Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
Is like fantastic. It's so awesome.
In the Mouth of Madness, great.
Oh, In the Mouth of Madness was John Carpenter. I totally forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the greatest Lovecraft movies that has nothing to do with Lovecraft.
That's right.
It's like a mix of Lovecraft
and Stephen King.
With Stephen King in it, right?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I enjoy that. So many good movies, so little time.
Oh, yeah. I didn't notice that somebody said earlier that Star Trek Discovery was renewed for a second season. I didn't know that until now, and I'm absolutely happy about that. I'm so excited to see where this show goes because I think it's going to go in cool places.
See, I don't understand how television works, but the reason I haven't seen this yet is my paranoid mind thinks that by watching all the Star Treks right now, it'll support their streaming service somehow. And they'll say, look how popular our show is.
Well, see, that's the deal, right? Like, we have a buddy who works in Hollywood. We met him at Origins this past year, and we've been talking to this guy, and he was telling me about this whole thing with the streaming service. Like, Hollywood is looking at that streaming service. Like, everybody's eyes are staring at this CBS All Access thing, or yeah, CBS. And this is the deal. Like, they're seeing if they can actually make a go of it, as opposed to doing your traditional appointment television model that they always do. And I don't know if it's good or not, because Netflix is fantastic and you got to have competition, right? And of course, like, there can't be just one Netflix. I mean, of course, there'd be Netflix and Hulu, and
there should be just one, because that'd be great for the consumer.
That'd be great for me and you, but like for them,
consumer.
They need to make their money too, right? And they need to progress beyond this dumb model of sitting around at 8 o'clock to watch a TV show, right?
Yeah.
So I don't like it because I have to pay for it, but I like it because it's progressing technology. I don't know. I don't know what's a good thing or a bad thing. All I know is if they keep making awesome shows like Star Trek that they don't have to whitewash for advertising, I think that's better. I would rather pay for All Access and get a better show than have it just jammed on CBS and have a whitewashed garbage show, like things like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s a pretty good show, but it could be so much better if it was on Netflix, like right. Daredevil. Daredevil's like an adult-oriented show. So, I mean, is that better, that we get a better show out of it? I don't know.
See, here's the problem with streaming. If it's free, that's cool. If it's a pay-for service, I'm not interested. And that's going to be the future, right? That's what cable is right now. They take all these networks, they jam them together for one monthly fee. Eventually, there's going to be so many streaming services that they'll do that with streaming services, and it'll be back with cable, but it'll be streamed instead of on a cable.
Yeah,
I don't want that.
I don't want it either. You know, and I don't have the answer. Whether I don't know. Yes, I did see that they dropped the F-bomb on Star Trek, and it was weirdly out of place. I think they did it just because they wanted to do it. I mean, I didn't care because whatever, who cares? They can drop the F-bomb all day and night. But I don't know, Star Trek, it felt off. You know, like I think Star Trek, the story of it is they've grown beyond that. I don't know. Yeah, it was just weird. In Star Trek, it doesn't fit. So it just struck me as odd. But it does fit. Frack does fit in Battlestar Galactica. So I'm happy that they frack all day and night. I'm sure that F-bombs do exist in Star Trek, but it just felt wrong. It felt off. It didn't feel like it fit. Anyhow, Steve, I think we should hit the road. We've gone over time. We're trying to keep these at a manageable length so we can go be with our families. So everybody, thanks so much for being with us. We're going to keep doing these more regularly now. Yeah, I like the swearing in Firefly too. It was all in Japanese, Chinese, one of them.
So maybe next time we'll try to get like Bender on or Jess. Maybe have Chris stick around for the whole thing. Maybe, you know, special treats.
For sure. I'm going to make sure that Chinese. It was Chinese. So yeah, I'm going to try to get, make sure that Jess and Bender and Aaron and all of them and Jessica, all of them have webcams so that they can get in on these things. And we can have, you know, different people jumping in and out for the future, but we're definitely going to keep doing these regularly. So anyway, thanks everybody for joining us here. We're going to hit the road. Tony T's words of wisdom. We would love to have them if Tony was involved, but next time when he's here, Tony, do some text words of wisdom there.
You know, it's going to take him 5 minutes to figure out, and then another 5 minutes to type.
Well, yeah, the listeners don't get the long wait we have when we record because I chop out a lot of it. All right, guys. Thanks very much, Cabalas. We'll see you next time. Remember, next week. Oh, also, before everybody goes, you can still get in on the Daedalus Productions sponsored contest. Go to thesecretcabal.com/Halloween. You can enter to win the Mansions of Madness 2nd edition and the Daedalus Productions inserts for it. Also, if you go to the Jack Bassel Memorial Fund auction that's going on over on Board Game Geek right now, you can bid for a chance to play a game with Rodney and Jeff Engelstein and I at Gen Con for a great cause. And also, next Tuesday, Halloween, look forward to Herbert West Reanimator, our Tales from Beyond the Grave audio drama. And with that, I guess, good night, everybody.
Good night.